So we'll just start right in. I used to try to preamble, but you know what? There's no time for that anymore. It's not the world we live in. Here we go. For the hip and the fickle, we tap dance for nickels. And invitations to parties where no one has any fun. Demographically dissed, categorically dismissed. I'm just glad they still let ugly people write songs. I got the body of a god, if we're talking about the Buddha, and a face that's pretty good on the radio. Like youth is wasted on the young, luck gets wasted on the dumb. I'm just glad they still let ugly people write songs. I'm so glad they still let ugly people write songs. If I had to get by on my good looks, I wouldn't last too long. But as long as I can make them rhyme, I can be 10 kinds of wrong. I'm just glad they still let ugly people write songs. Now my cousin had a mullet and the girls all seemed to love it. He smiled big and he played a red guitar. Now there's an achy breaky indifference and he just don't seem to get it. I'm just glad they still let ugly people write songs. Once I had an agent, she was crazy and impatient. She had a plan to move my career along, but all my photoshopped headshots were returned to her B.O. box. I'm just glad they still let ugly people write songs. I'm so glad they still let ugly people write songs. If I had to get by on my good looks, I wouldn't last too long. As long as I can make them rhyme, it can be 10 kinds of wrong. I'm just glad they still let ugly people write songs. Now the hip and the beautiful won't be coming to my funeral. When this earthly race of mine gets run, it'll be me and my homely friends picking and grinning until the end. I'm just glad they still let ugly people write songs. I'm so glad they still let ugly people write songs. If I had to get by on my good looks, I wouldn't last too long. As long as I can make them rhyme, it can be 10 kinds of wrong. I'm just glad they still let ugly people write songs. Anyway, glad to be here. And writing songs and whatnot. And it's not on purpose, it just sort of happens that way. But at this next song I did write with Rice Drury when we kind of got at the beginning of the stuff. And I just kind of, shot him a message to see how he was doing. And he kind of tossed a title out. It says, yeah, we got to write the song, about being together alone. And of course, that's kind of become a catchphrase outside of our song. But we had some fun. We wrote this little song together, and my son Vinny made a pretty cool video of it. You can find it on the YouTube and on my Facebook page and whatnot. But yeah, this is called Together Alone with Rice Drury. Where we gonna go when the bars close down? Your good time buddies can't be found. Longing for that jukebox sound, and every damn day it rains. We all got to do our own thing now. You're doing it yourself, but you ain't sure how to keep your mouth out of a frown when every damn day is the same. When things look bad, but don't lose hope. If you're drowning, let me throw you a rope. Alone together, together alone. I'm right here inside your phone. So give me your ring from the twilight zone. You'll be there, I'll be here, together alone. Sitting on the front porch, trying not to stare at the moms and dads pulling out their hair, reining in the young ones whose only care is why they can't play with their friends. Older ones sneak out the back, don't bother them with things like facts. Never have a heart attack, probably prove us wrong in the end. When things look bad, but don't lose hope. If you're drowning, let me throw you a rope. Alone together, together alone. I'm right here inside your phone. So give me your ring from the the twilight zone. You'll be there, I'll be here, together alone. You can mask your feelings if you try, but I can see the anxious in your eyes, longing for that human touch, a peck on the cheek or a big bear hug. Where we gonna go when the lights come on and everywhere in town is playing our song? Day's coming, it won't be long. First round's on me. We'll cry about the love and laugh about the pain, all the things we did to stay sane. Dance away the weight we've gained and take nothing for granted again. Things look bad, but don't lose hope. If you're drowning, let me throw you a rope. Alone together, together alone. I'm right here inside your phone, so give me your ring from the twilight zone. You'll be there, I'll be here, together alone. You'll be there, I'll be here, together alone. Thank you. I real appreciate that, y'all. Yeah, so that's a pretty new one. And it's funny, you can tell, since this thing started and we've all kind of quit gigging, well, these new songs that we're writing, and man, people are writing like crazy. You're not as versed in them because you haven't played them in front of a crowd, so you don't have the muscle memory thing going yet. And it's, also can be attributed to laziness. This is the absolutely true story of the time we bought a car from a dead man for $50. Recorded at Sun Studio, and you can get that on my webpage, TonyManard.com or Bandcamp. So anyway, this is the true story. Everybody likes a story that rhymes. Did I ever tell you about the time we bought a car from a dead man for $50? I wouldn't contradict what my daddy said, but I'm telling y'all, this man was dead face down at his kitchen table in a bowl of milk. My old man couldn't resist a deal on a rusted hunk of automobile, and his two sons shared in that affliction. For $40, $50, or $100, the Manard & Sons Automotive Archaeology Scholars would rid you of your unwanted pieces of yard art. Now, I don't exactly recollect how we come to find this particular wreck, but we loaded up his old truck for an adventure. We met the old lady on the scene, we exchanged politeness and pleasantries, and we backed up into the driveway to start the loading. And maybe I was just standing idle, but I got elected to go inside and get the title, and that's when I ran into the horror. She said, "Baby, do you want something to eat?" But my mind had to fight the will of my feet to keep from running away from what I seen at the kitchen table. Pushed up to the table in his wheelchair, that old man didn't move so much as a hair, and I thought, maybe he's just sleeping. Now, friends, you ask, how did I know he was dead? Because a cat ran across his head. Face down, and what looked to be a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. Well, I ran out the door, suppressing a holler. I said, "Daddy, give the lady her $50 and let's get ourselves the heck on out of here." My daddy laughed and my brother howled, but I didn't find it a dang bit funny how I was the only one in a house with a dead man. To this very day, me and my pop disagree as to the sad tales, veracities, how we bought a car from a dead man for $50. And that is a true story. So yeah, man, here's another new song I'm gonna lay on you guys. So growing up, there's a house a couple of doors down from me that my best friend Josh lived in for a little bit. But it was one of those houses where people kind of came and went, and Josh eventually moved back to the street. And anyway, but at one point there was a couple with a couple of small children living in this house, and you know how kind of like you see your neighbors and you don't know them, and maybe you give them some names. Well, the man in the relationship seemed to favor old Volkswagens. He was like some kind of mechanic, and he was bringing home like various cool old Volkswagens. So he was Volkswagen man. Well, his wife, she yelled a lot and didn't seem super happy. And she was taking care of those kids, kind of small kids. And unfortunately, we called her the fat lady, which now that I'm grown, I know that's completely wrong, and it robbed her of her humanity. And this song actually is kind of about that humanity. And the things, when you're a kid, you just don't notice or think about anything too far outside your own sphere. And maybe something kind of happens and you remember it later, and then you process it. And maybe it's 20 years later that you get the lesson, but I did get the lesson. And it's a brand new one. It's called Volkswagen Man. Volkswagen man drinks just a little. Mrs. Wagon yells a lot. Was it something that he did or something they ain't got? Couple barefoot, dirty-faced kids running around the yard. And I often wondered what it was that made their life so hard. Volkswagen man goes to work every day at 9. Mrs. Wagon stays at home watching TV and wiping behinds. On the days he comes home late, you can hear him cuss. She was Carmen Gia when they met, but she turned into a bus. But love is like a used car, you can't know it until you buy it. It's classified at crapshoot, but you can't win if you don't try it. When it gets a hold of you, there ain't no denying. Love is like a used car, you can't know it until you buy it. Mrs. Wagon has a great big smile for the kids in the neighborhood. Volkswagen man will fix your bike if you catch him feeling good. One night I saw a scene that confused my teenage head. They was making out on the front porch after they put the kids to bed. Love is like a used car, you can't know it until you buy it. It's a classified ad crapshoot, but you can't win if you don't try it. When it gets a hold of you, ain't no denying. Love's like a used car, you can't know it until you buy it. Yeah, that's a brand new one. I'm a Volkswagen man. Well, I have a little geography lesson. We say we'll take you back to my ancestral homeland. That's Mississippi. Well, the muzzle flashes and scatter the ashes, and the red clay stain my soul. I just want to live out my days in a rocking chair on the porch. Hear the songs of the men and the hum of the machines. Mississippi, why you gotta be so mean? If I could write a song to make the girls cry, and if I had wings, I know I'd fly away from the toil and away from the trouble. I would never touch another short-handled shovel. I had a good job working for the mill, except for a boss who needed to get killed, looking at me like I don't matter. He ain't nothing but a no-good carpetbagger. Well, the smoke flashes and scatter the ashes, and the red clay stain my soul. I just want to live out my days in a rocking chair on the porch. Hear the songs of the men and the hum of the machines. Mississippi, why you gotta be so mean? Well, my bad ideas always come in a flash. On the Friday payroll comes in cash. A couple of days in the Mississippi sun have a man thinking about picking up a gun. It's a desperate man that takes up arms, and he risks some stretch in the parchment farm. Got mouths to feed and bills to pay. An honest man can't make his way. Well, the muzzle flashes and scatter the ashes, and the red clay stain my soul. I just want to live out my days in a rocking chair on the porch. The songs of the men and the hum of the machines. Mississippi, why you gotta be so mean? Somebody tell me what it all means. An old man's regrets or a young man's dreams. Does it all come down to fate? Is it a God of love or a God of hate? Well, the muzzle flashes and scatter the ashes, and the red clay stain my soul. I just want to live out my days in a rocking chair on the porch. Hear the songs of the men and the hum of the machines. Mississippi, why you gotta be so mean? Thank you. Well, I guess the impetus of this song would just be if we've all been there, right? You're in a Waffle House in the middle of the night, questioning your choices in life. Afflicted by fetishes, perverse intentions, offended by internal dialogue, left here to ponder the petty and the precious, the dangers of too much time alone. Indicted on charges by safety patrol sergeants, sentenced to potlucks and obligations of love. Longing for alliteration, both the meta and the fiscal. Hoping for illumination by the light of your phone. Staring at your hands, wondering how they got so wrinkled. You want to go home and you wish you had drove car to the party, but you knew you were gonna get drunk. Now it's too far to walk and you've lost your phone. And you knew that you shouldn't, but you left with those hippies. What a couple of stops to make before taking you home. They fed you some hummus and a magical fungus. You forgot where you lived and the name of your dog. When your depression got manic, they widespread panicked and dropped you by the roadside. Now you're safe in a harbor that smells like mop water under a familiar sign. Oh, the waitress is shady, the cook's a bearded lady, and no one will give you the time. But you ain't really missing. You're just Waffle House tripping, scattered, smothered, and covered, and kept in your mind. Thank you. That's Waffle House tripping. Ladies and gentlemen, the pride of Sandmountain, Alabama. Hey, hey.
How y'all doing?
And his lovely companion. Well, all right, all right. Well, I don't know if my very special lady in Little Rock is on the air with us just yet, Miss Ann Nutt. That's my Little Rock girlfriend. Don't tell my wife. But she had a request, and I'm going to play it for her. This is them old Lake Michigan blues. Now, should I tell them the whole story? All right, everybody, get yourself a drink. This is the part where you're going to need something to sip on. And it's a funny thing, actually, this story relates to this place. I took that train up to Chicago one time. played a show up there. Had a good time. I liked Chicago a lot. Chicago liked me, and I hope to get back there. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth, guys. I didn't see the deal with the pizza. It just wasn't for me. But y'all got an Italian beef sandwich up there that, man, I don't know what I'd do for one right now. Anyway, that's beside the point, and I'm going to get beside a lot of points about now. So, yeah, so I took a train up there. I played the show, and come time to come home, I got back on that train. And despite having brought an Italian beef sandwich onto the train with me about an hour after I got there, I was hungry again. If you can imagine. So anyway, I went to the dining car. Now, being a single man by myself, they wasn't going to seat me with no pretty girls. No families, nothing like that. I got to sit with a couple old boys who worked for the railroad. And this one old boy, he was from Slidell, Louisiana. He's a good old boy. I liked him. He was a nice fellow. Other boy was from Honduras. He didn't say a whole lot, but the fella that did the most of the talking was from Macomb, Mississippi. He had been a sheriff's deputy in Macomb, Mississippi, managed to get himself fired. Now, I am somewhat familiar with law enforcement standards in the great state of Mississippi, and I had to ask myself, what's a fella got to do to get fired from the Macomb Sheriff's Department? Anyway, I didn't want to ask him, because he's one of those guys that just wants you to know what a mean joker he is. He kept talking about what was going to happen once we got below that Mason-Dixon line. Now, I tell you, friends, I'm pretty sure Deputy Macomb couldn't have found the Mason-Dixon line if it was emblazoned with stars and bars across a map. Again, I didn't want to say nothing because he was a mean joker, and I didn't want to get kicked out of that dining car, you understand? So for once in my life, I kept my mouth shut. I came back to Memphis, Tennessee. I got off that train. It was pretty early in the morning, but I walked over to 550 South Main because I heard that they was letting songwriters get up on that stage and play their songs, and I hadn't got a whole lot of chances to play my songs for people. Well, it was a little early. Wasn't nobody here just yet. So I went and I sat down by the river with my little guitar and I practiced my songs. When I come back about 10 a.m., they let me in the door. A fella named Andrew Cabigo was sitting up on this stage right here where I'm at. Well, I just picked up that electric guitar right there and I jumped on up in there with him. Then I went home, I took a shower, kissed my wife, got a little something to eat, and I wrote this song. Didn't have nothing to do with that story. I met him in a truck stop north of Milwaukee, and his down-home accent was like a beacon to me. Made our acquaintance over a cup of coffee, and I'll never forget these words that he said to me. Lake Michigan might as well be the ocean, and the Mason-Dixon might as well be the river Styx. I'm a bourbon man in a beer town, that's for certain. And there's someone back down south that I sure miss. Now, a friend said he knew there's some easy money, and he's wondering if I'd be up for the job. Picking up a load just south of Reelfoot. Only troubles, I'd be working for the Dixie mob. I pointed my truck north, hell bent for asphalt. I make a couple of dollars and I cruise on back home. That was 7 months ago. I don't ask where the time did go, 'cause it's creeping by in a frozen lake effect hell. Lake Michigan might as well be the ocean, and the Mason-Dixon might as well be the river Styx. I'm a bourbon man in a beer town, that's all certain. there's someone back down south that I sure miss. You know the girls are pretty, but I can't take the accent. And the beer is cold, but it don't do nothing for me. Wish I shacked up with my Tupelo honey in a hunting cabin back in Tennessee. Everything was fine, that Detroit diesel was a humming. I was dodging scales just like that Little Feat song. Stopped to get myself a drink just out of Chicago. When I come back out, I found my rig was gone. Lake Michigan might as well be the ocean, and the Mason-Dixon might as well be the river Styx. I'm a bourbon man in a beer town, that's for certain. There's someone back down south I sure miss. Now y'all, I did not have the heart to tell this stranger what a boy like me was doing so far from home. But the truth is I'd been sent up here to find him after wrapping up some bad debts of my own. Now the time has come for me to make a decision. I could wrap this thing up and cruise on back home. But the words he said wouldn't let me pull the trigger. Me and this fool were singing the same damn song. Lake Michigan might as well be the ocean, and the Mason-Dixon might as well be the river Styx. I'm a Memphis man in a strange land, that's so certain. And there's someone back down south that I sure miss. That's the Lake Michigan Blues for Ann Nutt. This was March a year ago, and my car was in the shop. My wife took me to, I was doing a thing over here at the FedEx Forum, anyway, blah, blah, blah. It was St. Patrick's Day, a lot going on. So anyway, she dropped me off. I got finished with what I was doing, and I walk out onto Beale Street, and lo and behold, I see Eric Hughes and Guy Venable rolling a cart full of amplifiers and guitars down the street. These guys are Beale Street stalwarts, veterans, and just some of the sharpest players you'll ever be around. And I don't want to get on my soapbox, but if it weren't for these guys and girls that play Beale Street, there would not be a music industry here. That's just plain and simple. So, you know, they're the Warriors, and they're having a rough time right now, and I'm neither here nor there. I don't want to get into that, but the fact of the matter is we get to do this because of what they do. So I feel very strongly about that, and I was really, you know, pleased to greet them as friends. So anyway, and so we had our little time, and they had you know, they're running the next gig. And I was going to take an Uber home. You know, I didn't want to drag my wife back out downtown on St. Patrick's Day. And the Uber prices were way up. So I said, well, it's a beautiful Memphis night. I'll just walk on down Main Street and see what old Mark Parcell's doing. And it wasn't a night I expected to find Mr. Parcell and his venerable establishment. And when I came up to the door, the lights were out. But when I peeked inside, Mr. Parcell was consuming a malted beverage in the back of his establishment. And of course, invited me to join him, and we did, and we had a few more malted beverages, and Mr. Parcell very responsibly walked himself home, and it was time for, you know, we could have hung out all night, but I said, no, you know, I'll get an Uber. Well, I looked at Uber again, the prices were up, so I parked myself on a bench just standing here on South Main. And like I was telling you, it was a beautiful night, and the sun was going down, or it was nice and bright. There was, you know, a smattering of people. I had just recently read Preston Lauterbach's book, Beale Street Dynasty. It goes into the history of Memphis. I bought it actually right next door at the Book Juggler here on South Main, where I buy all my Memphis music books. Like I do. That's the tradition. Like if a new Memphis music book comes out, I go to the Juggler on Book Juggler on South Main. That's where I get my book at. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool to have little local rituals like that. So anyway, I tell you, I digress a lot. But I'm sitting on this bench down here, and I just read the book, and I was thinking about how, the blues man Furry Lewis, he had a prosthetic leg, and he worked for the sanitation department at the same time my grandfather did, actually, and he swept up Beale Street. My grandfather actually lost 2 fingers in a street sweeper, in the chain drive of a street sweeper. So I feel this kind of strange connection to Furry. He died before I was born, so I never got to ask him, did you know Furry? And I don't know, times that they were, but I thought about that. So Furry would play his gig, and he would go back to the house, and it'd be in the middle of the night, and his wife would fix him a little something to eat, and she'd go to bed. He'd sit and drink his coffee and read the paper, and about, as the sun came up, he would empty the trash cans over on Beale Street. Legend has it that Furry opened for the Stones in the 70s at the Liberty Bowl. The opening act got sick, and somebody said it would be a gas to find Furry Lewis, and apparently Furry showed up hours late. I haven't had too many sober people corroborate this story, so take it as you will. But Furry came and he played, and I'm sure they paid him handsomely, but he got up the next morning and he swept the Beale Street again. So for Furry and for Eric and for Reba and everybody that ever sat down there on Beale Street, and God bless Zeke. And honestly, this was, I'm glad you said that, man, because I got to share this song with Zeke, and he did. No, he did. No, there was no alleged. There's evidence of that. But no, I got to share this song with our dear professor, and I got his approval. And I had actually discussed some of the things in the song with him because I would consult Zeke on things because he was such a natural and wonderful teacher. And a lot of what I know about Memphis history is honestly long conversations with Zeke and James Manning on the back porch at Otherlands. Anyway, I've digressed a lot. We recorded this song at Sun Studio with Crockett Hall and had a real blast. And it's on my website, TonyManard.com. It's on Bandcamp. But it's called Downtown Still Life, and I hope you dig it. Well, the colors are saturated, but the lines are a little blurred on this old TV of mine where your memory is burned. Hindsight will cut you. I got that line from Chris Davis. Have you got the nerve to go whistling past graveyards, building bridges to burn? I seen one of my old buddies, those 2 of them, hauling amps up the street. He say if you drank from the bottle, you could say you take it neat. This line's for Brad. I sing mostly original songs into stolen microphones. I've seen them hosing down the streets from Bourbon to Beale, played for change in a case for my next meal. If the blues is a vocation, a working man wears Stacey Adams shoes. I said I'd love to come and see him. He said I wish you would. I don't do it like I used to, but I still do it pretty good. All these devils and debutantes, former Cotton Carnival queens, it ain't exactly lonesome, it's just something in between. I walked all the way down Main Street, but I knew Mark wasn't there, but he was. Knick-knack, paddywhack, cutie in a Cadillac, load him in the wagon and haul him downtown. All the Boss Crumb's cronies, a King Willie's men, couldn't make it go away. Lady in the window on a Saturday night, I don't mean to stare, but you're such a beautiful sight. Oh, I think I love you. Won't you tell me your name? Fried chicken and reefer, warm summer breeze, Someone hollered police. I climbed up in a tree. It's like being drunk in church. Rug burns on your knees. And when the sun comes up in the morning, Mr. Furry sweeps it all away. Amen. Man, thanks, y'all. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate that. Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. Got to record that over at Sun, and it was a blast. Mr. Yancey was with us, and some of the boys, and yeah, it had a real good time. So, if you check it out, don't expect a polished record. This was just a bunch of dudes that play in bars in the most famous recording studio in the world, having a good old time. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. We had a good old time. I'm going to play you this song. I wrote it a long time ago, and I wrote it from a little girl. And she's not a little girl anymore. She's a grown woman. She still lets me treat her like a little girl, and I appreciate that. This is called Wouldn't Change a Thing. Well, I got a girl and her eyes are blue. Drags around a teddy bear named Boo Boo. We brought her home. She would fit in a hat. Had me digging in the garbage for a porcelain cat. Leads me around on a little string. I wouldn't change a thing, no, no. Wouldn't change a thing. Pretty like her mama, but she's crazy like me. Runs around barefoot climbing trees. Catches fireflies in a mason jar. Fights with her friends like a sailor in a bar. Leads me around on a little string. I wouldn't change a thing, no, no. Wouldn't change a thing. She sees magic in the world. She's almost a woman, but she's still my little girl. She thinks that I'm made of money. She don't think my jokes are funny. She thinks I could wrestle a bear. She used to let me braid her hair. Leads me around on a little string. I wouldn't change a thing, no, no. Wouldn't change a thing. She sees magic in the world. She's almost a woman, but she's daddy's little girl. She makes messes when she cooks. She don't care that her daddy's a crook. She got a smile that'll light a room up. I ain't ready for her to grow up. Leads me around on a little string. I wouldn't change a thing, no, no. Wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing. Thank you, thank you. All right, now that was about my little girl, I'm going to play a song about how I got a little girl. Yeah. So. That's true, the crowd is going wild. I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I hope I can keep this fancy shirt I got at the Collierville Goodwill, if you're ever looking for I'm assuming there must be a very stylish, recently deceased man who wore my size. Because no living man was going to give this shirt up, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't. So, yeah. But no, my wife and I just had our 24th anniversary, and we dated in high school. And I don't know if I was the best influence on her. She certainly had more fun after I came around. So I don't know how you account for in the well, let's just hope that the math works out and it all washes right. But she didn't skip near as much school as I did. But man, I skipped a lot of school, and honestly, I was such a little asshole that most of the teachers didn't miss me. So I guess not a big deal was ever made about it. So, but yeah, and it's funny now because like we're all kind of skipping school. It's really weird. This is called Truant, and I hope you dig it. I learned a little more on the days I was skipping school. I wasn't a good student, but man, I ruled at breaking the rules. Never had someone happy to see me till you came along. Haven't thought about it in years, but now I gotta put it in a song. We got days to come, sweeter than way back when. We keep doing what we were doing, but we were being truant back then. We keep doing what we were doing, but we were being truant back then. Got us lost on purpose the day we wandered in the park. I did my best to keep you laughing and get you in my backseat after dark. Well, you tried to play it cool, but you was careless with your cards. I was putting in the work, but you wasn't trying to make it very hard. We got days to come, sweeter than way back when. We keep doing what we were doing, but we were being truant back then. We keep doing what we were doing, but we were being truant back then. Wasn't doing nobody no harm, working on Boone's farm. Well, the years fly by, miles piled high. Baby, I can promise you this: every day that we ain't together, that's a day that you're gonna get missed. So let's steal back a day, take ourselves a blanket to the park. I'll do my best to keep you laughing and get you back home before dark. We got days to come, sweeter than way back when. We keep doing what we were doing, but we were being truant back then. We keep doing what we were doing, but we were being truant back then. All right. Right on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, well, I promised Mark I wouldn't go and suck the air out of a room. There are songwriters that do that better than me. I'm going to play my one Debbie Downer of the night, and we'll pick it right back up, I promise. I'm not going to leave you hanging down there, Mark. This isn't going to be a Justin Bloss situation. Justin's one of the best songwriters I know, one of the best performers, but man, he can put you down in a hole, and if you don't reach down and pick you back up, you're going to be in a bad way. Yeah. Justin left town more times than Fleming's went out of business. Kate Williams, yeah. Yeah, remember that weekend we all kind of hung out? It was just kind of because it was so cold down here. That was a blast, man, yeah. Katie Williams. So, yeah, man, so anyway. So, not that we're toward the ending, and I'm in a great place, but right before I turned 21, my best friend passed away, and it was hard. It was a hard time, you know. I never really lost anybody that close to me, and I had already found out that my wife was pregnant, and not long after he passed, I found out she was having twins, and it was like my whole life was just crashing down around me, and I kind of, you know, like you do, adopted, because, you know, you got to get up and get with it and get the money and do what you got to do. So I probably didn't deal with some of this stuff, and then I never wrote about it. It was kind of a closet I didn't open, and about a year ago, I pulled it back out, and I finally managed to get a recording of the song. So it's the downer of the night. It's called Death in the Afternoon. Well, the dead never speak in my dreams, at least not with words. What I wouldn't give to hear your voice again. A couple of funny looking kids taking on the world, singular phenomenon of friends. One left, one got almost lost my mind, too tough to cry. Impotent rage and anger at the sky. Thought I'd bend it to my will, the way I always do. She's pregnant, now they say it's 2. You can't tell me, I don't know what to do. But I was thinking about life in the morning, death in the afternoon. I was thinking about a birth in the middle of the night. Mostly I was thinking about you. I was thinking about life in the morning, death in the afternoon. I was thinking about a birth in the middle of the night. Mostly I was thinking about you. We used to drink cheap wine in the graveyard after your mama went to bed. Wish I could remember all the crazy things we said. They tried to keep us apart, but the party kept going. We never missed a beat. Come Friday night, we were right back running them streets. Road trip to see you in college, scared to death in my first strip bar. Like Christmas Eve, we almost bought it in my old car. I was a terrible actor and you never learned to play the guitar. But I was thinking about life in the morning, death in the afternoon. I was thinking about a birth in the middle of the night. Mostly I was thinking about you. I was thinking about life in the morning, death in the afternoon. I was thinking about a birth in the middle of the night. Mostly I was thinking about you. These flashes of memories are all that I have left. Thanks, y'all. All right. As promised, the last Debbie Downer of the night. But story time again. I used to work in a... Now, if I'm going to preface this story with... The story is true. The song took a lot of license. And before anybody gets too upset, no dirty kids were harmed in the making of this song. It's all good. But I worked in a bingo hall in Olive Branch, Mississippi for the Inner Man Church of the Future. Now, the Inner Man Church of the Future's philosophy is basically surrounding yourself with the white light of whatever bullshit allowed them to keep a gaming license with the state of Mississippi. So me and a bunch of my knucklehead friends worked in this bingo hall, and it was, and we could be filthy, dirty, and drunk all the time, and they were just fine with it. So, it was obviously a match made in heaven, and for young fellas, for kids, and any of that. Anyway. And actually, one night I actually worked. There was a riot in the bingo hall. I wasn't even working there anymore. My buddy called me up and said, "Hey, man, it's $100 cash if you can come bail me out in the kitchen." In the kitchen in the bingo hall, we served up like hamburgers and grotesque nachos and things from the day-old Hostess store. And one of the benefits of working there, because it was a church and they needed people to attend the church services, they would give out extra bingo cards. So if you came to the Sunday service before bingo started, you got like a book of bingo cards for coming. And for us, the employees, we got an extra $10 and a jump start on getting drunk for the night, because basically what we'd do is we'd line up however many styrofoam cups as there were dudes and just kind of pass a bottle of rot gut whiskey across the top of it until it was done, and then top it off in the fountain. And then we'd sit in front and we'd sing along. And sometimes I played in the band, and there was this guy that had the bingo hall band named Smoochie Smith. Now, Smoochie was kind of a rockabilly legend, played at Sun, had played on some of the early Stack stuff, and Smoochie had this trick, and he cracked me up, man. He'd open like a tube of peanuts, you know? So he'd be wailing on the piano. I mean, guy had a Jerry Lee thing going, but he'd lean his head down there, and he was a gorilla-like man. And he's still around, and he's still playing. He was playing. Remember that time we were up at Dano's in Covington? Apparently he's still playing up there some. Anyway, great dude. But Smoochie would like lean his head down there, and he'd get the end of that peanut thing in his mouth, and I'd crack up every time. Like I just couldn't keep it together. Anyway, I've digressed. But anyway, the other thing that happened is, so it was a bunch of young dudes like walking around selling these bingo cards, right? Well, when a lady reaches a certain age, she does just whatever the hell she wants. And so you'd be walking by, and one of these ladies would reach out and pinch you on the ass, you know? And it was just kind of how it went. But that wasn't the bad part. The worst part was taking sweaty brassiere money. You know what I mean? Oh, I was like, oh, man. So one time this boy that worked with us, I can't remember, well, I do remember his name, but I'm not going to say it because I think he's still alive, and I know his brother's in jail for killing a man, so I'm going to let it go. But anyway, so boy, this lady, Sadie, one of her regulars, gave him that sweaty brassiere money, and he thought it'd be funny to run her change down in his pants. Oh my God, she chased his little scrawny white ass out of there, and we had to stop her, and we had to send him home for the night because it was going to be a killing. But anyway, it was crazy. So the night of the riot, what happened was the competing bingo hall, the Shriners, who were backed by the DeSoto County Sheriff's Department, paid our caller to put an extra ball in. So the same ball was called twice in the final game. Of course, everybody says it's crooked. And people say, oh, it's a bingo game. But you have to understand, the final game on Saturday night was worth $2,500. They sent buses to the nursing homes to pick people up. So for Grandma to win $2,500, or for you to have taken the chance for Grandma to win that $2,500, I mean, they went nuts, dude. I'm not lying. Like, they broke stuff, you know, those bingo markers, like the daubers, they call them. They pulled the tops off of those and just flung them about. They broke chairs. Olive Branch PD had to get cops out of bed. Like, dudes showed up with pistols shoved in the waistbands of sweatpants saying, what the actual hell is going on here? And it was a geriatric riot. And I don't know how else to describe it. I wasn't even supposed to be there. It was nuts. But anyway, so like I said, I took a little license with this song. You guys know what a Mickey is? I mean, that's probably old drug terminology, but okay, good. I'm with the age of people that know what a Mickey is. That's really awesome. So it's called Granny Slipped Me a Mickey. It was 1995. My career had hit a wall. I was selling scratch-offs at the Itterman Bingo Hall. Sometimes I'd play my guitar with the legendary Smoochie Smith, but Granny slipped me a Mickey and I ain't been right since. Now sexual harassment, it ain't just for girls, you see. There's a woman as old as my grandma, she was making eyes at me. She pulled a 20 from her brassiere, she gave my ass a pinch. Granny slipped me a Mickey and I ain't been right since. Granny slipped me a Mickey and it rocked my whole world. There's still a lot of mischief in that bingo playing girl. Mothball, menthol, and camphor, well, they make for a strange incense. Granny slipped me a Mickey and I ain't been right since. Well, she may have store-bought teeth and oh, I missed a verse there, Cecil. Man, you gotta hold the cue cards up higher, man. Now the first thing I remember was a dry taste in my mouth. Next thing I was waking up on a plastic-covered couch. There was breakfast on the table, there was a cute little picket fence. Granny slipped me a Mickey and I ain't been right since. Granny slipped me a Mickey and it rocked my whole world. There's still a lot of mischief in that bingo playing girl. Mothball, menthol, and camphor, well, they make for a strange incense. Granny slipped me a Mickey and I ain't been right since. Now here it is. Well, she may have store-bought teeth and she may be over the hill, but every year I get a Christmas card with a $10 bill. She was older than the Queen of England, but she treated me like a prince. Yeah, Granny slipped me a Mickey and I ain't been right since. Yeah, Granny slipped me a Mickey and I ain't been right since. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, y'all. You guys may notice I don't write a lot of love songs. I'm not sure why that is. I'm all about love, but for whatever reason, I don't write a lot of them. I'm gonna pull this one out, and you can interpret it how you will. I don't play it much. My wife's not here to tell me not to, so. Well, it's mind over matter, but nothing much matters. The one that you love ain't around. And try as I might, I just don't feel right, enjoying my night on the town. So I'm sitting and thinking and wishing and drinking in a hotel bar all alone. That if you were here, I could put down this beer. You're my favorite way to get stoned. Take me upstairs and rock me to sleep. Cut off the lights and the alarm. Tell them don't call the cops. This is just what love sounds like. It's my favorite way to get stoned. Well, it's hard on a man, as you might understand, when he's so far away from his home. They don't say darling, and they don't say y'all. They don't care where you're from. You can take it or leave it, and you'd best believe it, that I can't wait to get gone. To the home that I'm missing, the gravy and biscuits, and my favorite way to get stoned. Take me upstairs and rock me to sleep. Cut off the lights and the alarm. Tell them don't call the cops. This is just what love sounds like. It's my favorite way to get stoned. It's my favorite way to get stoned. Yeah, thank you, man. Oh, a sip of that. I'm gonna play you guys one of them old road songs. I'm going on the road things. We aren't really on the road so much these days, but it's a funny thing when you're out a lot. You love and hate it at the same time. You miss home, but at the same time you can't wait to be staring at that white line again. This is called Makes Us Blue. She asked me not to sing no sad song, like she's afraid they'll come true. You love a man that loves to roam, he's always leaving. So leaving makes you blue. I like to hop the trains and hobo. I love adventures and skies of blue. I miss home, but when I'm there, I miss the road. Restless spirit makes me blue. If you could see inside my heart, love, could see inside my heart, love. You could peek in my mind too. Things we feel but cannot find a way to say. Fumbling words make us blue. Failing words make us blue. Right on. Was there a warp in the space-time continuum somewhere? It happens. It happens when I'm around, so I understand. I get it. It really does, man. That's right. The faithful. Vegas, Mississippi, LA in the house. I'm bad, I'm nationwide. Or maybe in your case, you're good in nationwide. I would attribute no evil to the lovely Michaela. I've had the pleasure of being on her radio show, and it's pretty awesome. And we got to hang out at the Mississippi Songwriters Festival. Right on, right on. So, in fact, it didn't happen at the Mississippi Songwriters Festival, but the next song I'm going to play, man, I entered it in a songwriting contest in Osher, Mississippi. I was picked as one of 10 finalists, the closest I've ever gotten to winning anything in my dang life. And so I got to play, and they had a celebrity judge. And, man, I tell you, this fella took me to the woodshed over this song after the contest. He says, son, what are you doing? You don't put a song about regular days in a songwriting contest. I said, well, that's cool, man. I kind of liked it. But it's called Regular Days, and it's about regular days. So, yeah. But like I said, I was kind of like, wow. But anyway, no, my wife asked me about some date. Like she wanted to do something. Were you doing anything? And not so much right now, because things have thankfully slowed down. But I live and die by this Google Calendar, man. If you could get into my Google Calendar and tell me to go stand by the river at noon tomorrow, I'd be standing around being like, when are they going to feed us on this gig? I don't know, man. So I look at my calendar, and there's nothing going on. I say, well, I got nothing going on. She's like, oh, like a regular day. What's a regular day for her? It's not a regular day for me. But, yeah. So anyway, yeah, a regular day. But I like the way she said that, like, a regular day. And I thought about, those really precious days are the days we just kind of do stuff. Like, and they kind of like, some days they seem like lost days. But I think when you get there, that those are going to be the good days, and it's called regular days. Baby, what's for dinner? Do you need something from the store? Timeless days like this just made me bored. Might put a little nip in my coffee, 'cause ain't nothing going on. Poke at a couple of chores and a couple of songs. 'Cause I like regular days, nothing to do and nothing new to say. New favorite kind. Pass the bottle, pass the blame. It all turns out the same. What have you got to lose? Tedious look at me blues. Sometimes peace of mind grows best in the quiet times. I like regular days. Like regular days. Read our books or watch TV. Baby, snuggle up next to me. You know I can keep you warm. I used to raise hell just to feel alive, but now I crave a snow day vibe with baby napping in my arms. And I like regular days, nothing to do and nothing new to say. My new favorite kind. Pass the bottle, pass the blame. It all turns out the same. What have you got to lose? Tedious look at me blues. Sometimes Sometimes peace of mind grows best in the quiet times. I like regular days. I like regular days. So when it's time to take your rest, remember days that you loved the best. But don't forget the days in between. We stomped the grapes and we drank the wine, through the sweet and the bitter times, made life out of regular days. Life's made of regular days. And I like regular days, nothing to do and nothing new to say. You're my new favorite kind. Pass the bottle, pass the blame, it all turns out the same. What have you got to lose? Tedious look at me blues. Sometimes peace of mind grows best in the quiet times. I like regular days. I like regular days. Regular days. Thank you.
Watching it on the monitor, I gotta give props to Brad.
Right on, Brad. Yeah, because it's kind of low. Yeah. It's kind of I'm trying to lean, watch my P's and my Q's. Appreciate it, y'all. Man, we're having a big old time. We just like old times. Well, all right. What do we want to do now? Wrong side of the bridge, wrong side of the law. Woke up in a bean field in West Memphis, Arkansas. I had a woman in Mississippi, I sit back in Tennessee. Me and this fella in Jackson had to agree to disagree. Laid up in a bed, I heard a key turn in the lock. I went out the window, I forgot to grab my socks. Man, it could have been a husband, or it could have been the law. I don't need no tongues wagging about something they never saw. Woke up in a cold sweat, I was in a state. I hot-wired a Cadillac with Alabama plates. I was 100 miles from Graceland, I was headed the other way. Going up Hearts Unknown to live to fight another day. I was going up Hearts Unknown to live to fight another day. Thank you. One of the first songs I ever wrote, one of the first songs I played in here. Man, while we're kicking old times, I haven't played this in forever, but the first song, I wrote a lot of like parody songs and funny songs, and I just figured out, I always had gotten the impression that songwriting was some sacred black magic that I would never be able to tap into. And I think there are people, maybe in our community, I don't know, but there are people that will lead you to believe that there's some magic that you don't have. And that's not the case at all. It's just a matter of pulling it out of your heart. You get the witty turns of phrase, but a song and the heart of a song comes from the intent, and it's not like you're reinventing the wheel every time. So, and I was a guitar player for other people, and I was very self-conscious about songs I had written. I was, kind of self-conscious about a lot of things, but in particular the writing, and then You know, and I think people will try to tell you, oh, this is cool and that's not cool, and there's some arbitrary values of these things, and those things change at a time. I used to play in a band with a guy, and he just railed against what he called butt rock, which most of us refer to as classic rock, and just railed against it and didn't want to play any of this stuff. 10 years later, this fool sends me the first ZZ Top album. He's like, dude, have you heard this? I'm like, don't even talk to me, man. Don't even talk to me. Right, so anyway, but no, I kind of got over this. So my buddy Harry Conadiziotis, he's got 5 and Dime Recording over in Cooper Young, and I was doing some road dates with him. The guitar player in his band, Switchblade Kid, his girlfriend had gotten pregnant, and all of a sudden was not really liking him being on the road, and my kids were pretty well, you know, grown enough that it didn't matter if I left, and I was gone a lot anyway for work, so blah, blah, blah. So he asked me to play guitar for these dates that he had to fill out, which is, you know, if you know my guitar playing style and you know the style of Switchblade Kid, it's pretty different. And I had a lot of fun. I got to buy some like pedals to make googly noises and stuff that, you know, that it was a lot of fun, and I got to go out on the road. So anyway, we went down to, first date I did with him was in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And songwriter and a local kind of producer and jack of all trades, and Jack Alberson, actually. Jack was with us. It was kind of Jack's first going out on the road with a band, and he's a great dude. But he got a little over into his cups, as they say. But I had told Jack on the way down, I've spent a lot of time on the road for work, probably even more than music. But you know, you learn things on the road, and also one thing you learn is not to trust any kind of chicken that's been in that gas station heating thing. Unless, you know, I was like, don't trust that Yardbird, son. I told him, we got it. He got some of those, like, oh my God, like those deep fried, wrapped up burrito things. And it was at a wrong time of day to do it. Like, if you frequent truck stops as much as I do, you kind of get a feel, you know? You get an idea of when it goes, right? But anyway, so I told him, and I said, son, don't you trust that Yardbird now? Well, he didn't listen to me. Anyway, so here we are. We're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We're playing some music. And there's only one bar in Tuscaloosa for the freaks and the geeks, and that's Egan's. It was the home of the Alabama Shakes, but Egan's is it's a bar small enough. I mean, it's literally it's about like this place, but if the band played at the far end. So like in my position, if somebody wanted to go to the men's room, I had to tilt the neck of my guitar up. But anyway, we had a great time, and there's this guy, Reverend Tony, a guy with a jerry curl and a bright red shirt. I got a picture of us together somewhere, Tony and Tony. But about 2 a.m., when the kitchens have already closed down, he comes around and he's got this Rubbermaid bucket full of barbecue sandwiches, $2 a piece. You can get chicken or you can get pork. And like I said, you're drunk, all the kitchens have closed, and it's like, oh, here's a man with barbecue sandwiches. Man, it was beautiful. So anyway, so we had this time, and man, after all this talking, I really hope I remember this song, because that's going to feel like an idiot. But no, I put this little song together. It's kind of a little story, a little humorous thing. It's kind of became my style. And we were cutting tracks for something else over at Harry's. And I had this song in my pocket, but I hadn't got up the nerve to play it for anybody yet. And I played it for him. And me and Harry have been friends for a long time. And he laughed in all the right spots. So I was like, well, hell, I guess there ain't that much to it. So this is called Tuscaloosa. Don't look so sad, 'cause you know I'll be back. Going to Alabama in a gold Cadillac. Pack up my sleeping bag, my guitar too. It ain't like I had nothing better to do. We're rolling to Tuscaloosa. Girls, they're pretty, but I sure won't kiss them. We're rolling to Tuscaloosa. Just 'cause I'm having fun don't mean I don't miss you. You load in the back door and there ain't no stage. Harry ain't Elvis and I ain't Jimmy Page. Got a belly full of whiskey and we're just too damn loud. But it seems to be fine for a late drinking crowd. We're rocking Tuscaloosa. girls here are pretty, but I sure won't kiss them. Yeah, we're rocking Tuscaloosa. Just 'cause I'm having fun don't mean I don't miss you. Grab a $2 barbecue and load up those amps. They're mopping the floors and they're lighting the lamps. We're gonna crash on Drew's couch just before we go back. Jack's puking out the back of the gold Cadillac. And it's load out Tuscaloosa. She ain't my cousin and I sure won't kiss her. It's load out Tuscaloosa. Just 'cause I'm having fun don't mean I don't miss you. Yeah, that's where it started. Thanks, yo.
You know, one of the things about football being canceled maybe in the fall is that we don't have to hear a lot about
You're right. Bound Fung Bam, yeah, exactly.
that might be the best thing.
Right. There is a silver lining. Right on. Well, I ain't played a cheating song yet, so I guess I got to play one of them. I have this bar I love to play at in Clarksdale, Mississippi, called Hops and Commissary, and it's just coolest joint ever. And I played the Monday night. There's a really cool Monday night gig they do early, and the bar owner makes some food because it's right next to the Shack Up Inns in Clarksdale. So what you've got is you got all these farmers from Clarksdale that drink in there, but then you have like the tourists that wander over from the Shack Up. So at any given time, and the farmers are all used to it. So they're very cosmopolitan. Like they're used to hanging out with people from all over the world. I was in there one night with the Blackwater Trio boys, and there were these 5 dudes from Sweden, and they were 4 of them were police chiefs in various towns in Sweden, and they brought their dad over for his 80th birthday. They did Louisiana, up through New Orleans, Clarksdale, Memphis. I mean, they were doing him up right. And of course, you know, we're drinking pretty heavy, and of course the talk gets around to guns because we're in Mississippi, and you know how it goes. And then these guys are like, "Man, your gun laws here just whack, man." But when then one of them says, "But I would very much like to shoot this Cowboy 44 gun." And we're like, "Well, shit, man, we can do that right now. Hold on, let's one of us go out to the truck." And he's like, No, we've been drinking." So we didn't go shooting with these boys. but the offer was there for if he just wanted to shoot that big 44 gun. And it's funny because, you know, the Blackwater Trio boys, Seth and Walt, they live, it's 7 miles from the bar, but it's the Delta, so you can just about see their house the 7 miles away. And anyway, just had some fantastic times there on the Monday night gig. Well, I didn't know, the first time I played down there was on a Saturday night, and it was rocking. But what I didn't know at the time was at about 1:30 a.m. you got to cut it off because the Mississippi State frat boys end up kind of drifting in there and they want to fight. You know what I mean? So this old boy, he jumps up on the stage at some point. He's a little shrimp. And I can't tell all the story, but I'll tell some of it. He gets a little out there. But anyway, he wants to sing a song. And I'll let him sing that Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler, with me. I'm like, surely, he can't butcher it too bad. It's pretty rough. So he goes back to his table to get a little more of that liquid courage in him. And well, by this time, I've finally got the signal from the bartender that it's time to wrap it up. You know, these boys want to hear the jukebox and fight, and it's time to put the guitars away. So I'm loading my stuff up, and he jumps up on the stage, and he's like, "Let me sing my song," and he's screaming into this microphone that's not plugged into anything. And he did want to fight, and I guess that's where I can't tell you the rest of the story because the verbal exchange is pretty hilarious, but certainly outside of the purview of this time slot. But yeah, so this bar, it's not necessarily a rough bar, but it's one of them bars, man. This is called 2-Time and 3/4 Time. There's blood on the gravel in the parking lot. Somebody's dog's loose in the bar. Bartender sleeps in the kitchen, 'cause the lottery possessed his car. And it's a whole paycheck gone by Monday. White trash in a Cadillac on a Saturday night. Silver-tongued devils and honky-tonk angels, 2-time and 3-4 time. The silver-tongued devils and honky-tonk angels, 2-time and 3-4 time. Mercy comes in drafts or in long necks. There's a therapist in every shot glass. You know all the songs on the jukebox. There's a bar stool for every ass. And it's a whole paycheck gone by Monday. White trash in a Cadillac on a Saturday night. With silver-tongued devils and honky-tonk angels, 2-time and 3-4 time. With silver-tongued devils and honky-tonk angels, 2-time and 3-4 time. Well, the years come so quick, but the days pass so slow. It's a paradox of time. Life doesn't kill you in dollars, but it bleeds you in nickels and dimes. And it's a whole paycheck gone by Monday. White trash in a Cadillac on a Saturday night. With silver-tongued devils and honky-tonk angels, 2-time and 3-4 time. With silver-tongued devils and honky-tonk angels, 2-time and 3-4 time. Thank you. I had to get one cheating song in. You know, they tell me you can't do cheating songs in Nashville anymore. Is this true, y'all? Yeah, because apparently it's like the not the honeymoon, the bachelorette party capital now. So they're blank. I mean, I'm not sure how country music's supposed to operate without cheating songs. Oh, baby, getting me to shut up's the trick, ain't it? Oh no. Yeah, it's kind of nice actually, because when you have jams with people, you end up playing covers because everybody knows them. But it's like, here's another brand new one I'm gonna lay on you. This has never seen the light of day. I'll see if you like it. It's called "You Miss a Lot of Sunshine That Way." Old man at the bar bummed a smoke. He said, "Son, have you heard the latest joke? The guy with the most toys had no time to play. The show impressed his boss man, but he missed a lot of sunshine that way." I said, "I don't get it. What's the punchline?" He says, "If you're lucky, you'll get it in time." What do you think they mean when they say to act your age? You can try to figure it out, but you'll miss a lot of sunshine that way. And then he said this, "Man, you got to regulate that on which you meditate. Don't fill your brain up with trash. Keep your mind on the sweet and the sublime. This whole world will always have a foot for your ass, so don't you worry, don't you fret. The best or the worst ain't neither come yet. A serious man puts work before play. That'll sure impress your father, but you miss a lot of sunshine that way." Man, you got to regulate that on which you meditate. Don't fill your brain up with trash. Keep your mind on the sweet and the sublime. This whole world will always have a foot for your ass. And then it hit me, I got the joke. Every sunrise is a beacon of hope. Since the World began, they've been talking about the end of days. You can join in on the choir, but you'll miss a lot of sunshine that way. Since this old world began, they've been talking about the end of days. I don't pay them no mind, 'cause you'll miss a lot of sunshine that way. Thank you. Brand new song. It's called You Miss a Lot of Sunshine. Man, I guess I've been doing a bad job of telling you where you can get all this stuff, but I got a website. It's TonyMaynard.com, M-A-N-A-R-D. All my records are on there. A couple of them are on Spotify and whatnot, but the last two things I've put out have just been on Bandcamp and on the website. See, that's my problem is I like making songs, but I don't necessarily like everything that goes with it. I love you too, man. This has been kind of my home. You know, a lot of I've always been able to get a spot on a stage here. I've been looking at the walls and I'm seeing friends, the friends I've made. You know, and just kind of. Yeah, it's these human connections, and we've got to figure out a way to keep that going. We've just got to figure it out. We're all kind of, you know, it's for me. I'm really lucky. I'm home with my wife, and you know, it's been great. I've been writing, and I've got to collaborate with some friends, some musicians. We've been doing a lot of remote collaborations, which has been a really interesting kind of thing because everybody's kind of feeling it out. In fact, at one point, people were trying to order these little 2-channel recording interfaces, you know, to record on your computer, and you just couldn't get them because everybody and his brother was trying to do this, just to have a way to play music together. So I've gotten to collaborate with some folks that I wouldn't normally get to collaborate with, which has been really cool. And honestly, man, people have just in the artistic community have kind of come out of the woodwork to support each other. I've gotten messages from people that I admire and never really, you know, got to be friends with because we were all just so busy. So, I mean, there is a silver lining, and I don't mean to downplay the pain that a lot of people are in right now. And I think what we have to do is we have to reach out to each other with things like this and not forget to make those human connections, because it's easy to go home and suck into your TV, into your computer. And so, you know, I guess if that's the seat, the preacher seat I'm on, I should have sold you before the song, because gosh, now I got to follow that up with something. What must I do? Actually, I'll tell you another story. I was overseas one time for work, and it was real cool. I was in Amsterdam. Me and Amsterdam got along A-OK. And well, we go to get on an airplane, go home, and I've been gone for 10 days, which is about the limit of my good behavior. So it was time for me to get back in the States where something bad happened. I was drifting. I needed correction. And anyway, so we got on the plane. There's a problem with the plane. It won't go. But they've already put our stuff under it. So they pull us off the plane. They don't give us our bags back. They're like, no, we're going to issue a flight in like however many hours. And they give us this bag, and it's got what passes in Europe for toiletries. And I kid you not, there were paper drawers in there. Paper drawers. I don't mean like, yeah, it wasn't happening. So it just wasn't happening. So I'm a little mad, you know, I'm not in a good mood. So I go to the bar, and also they didn't take us back to the cool part of Amsterdam that we were in, where we could, you know, enjoy ourselves. And they took us, they kind of dumped us out in the suburbs. I'm like, seriously, I flew all this way to be in a Hampton Inn for, anyway, whatever. It was fine. I was having a bad attitude and wasn't having the winning attitude. But so I'm down at the bar and I'm waiting for my friends. Also, I don't like Heineken, and that's like the beer over there. I don't know what it was, but I was just mad about everything. I'm sitting there, beer. And this guy comes in. He's an English fella. You guys remember that show, The Jeffersons? Remember Mr. Bentley? Mr. Bentley on The Jeffersons? This dude looked just like Mr. Bentley, man. And I'm so in my head, I'm making fun of him, right? Mr. Bentley looking ass, you know. And so, yeah, I didn't know it's wrong, but I was doing it. So anyway.
At least 3 more songs, Brad.
Trace, say more songs.
Ain't no freedom.
I appreciate you getting in. And I got a special ending piece. Okay, so anyway, so old Mr. Bentley's sitting at the bar drinking his beer. I'm making fun of him silently, of course. I'm not trying to start no trouble. This lady comes in. I don't know. I can't even remember what she looked like. She might have been funny looking too, but they looked at each other. They locked eyes. And I says, oh, man, T, you sit up here making fun of the luckiest guy in this bar, the way this woman looked at him. So I wrote a little song to make sure I didn't forget that. It's called The Way She Looks at Him. Funny looking fella sitting at the bar, funny looking girl holding on to his arm. Her eyes sparkle every word that passes his lips. She plays with her ice, he lights up a smoke. They both laugh at an inside joke. They sit close, his hand is on her hip. I can't help but feeling lonesome whenever I steal a glance at them. Man, I wish someone looked at me the way she looks at him. Blanket in the park. Oh my God. I did that, didn't I? Oh, you didn't write it? Oh, man. Cecil can't bail me out either. He don't know the words no better than I do. I know the third verse. I'm just going to have to skip right to the third verse. I'll play the solo, see if it comes back. Now, going to third verse. This isn't pointed at anybody now. Little old lady, little old man holding on to this life the best they can. He's a pain in the ass, and she's crazy as a loon. They hold hands, waiting on the dock for 50 years. She's been matching his socks. They don't talk, they just hope for good news. I can't help but feeling lonesome I steal a glance at them. Man, I wish someone looked at me the way she looks at him. Funny looking fella sitting at the bar, funny looking girl holding on to his arm. Her eyes sparkle every word that passes his lips. All right. And that's actually on a record called Know Why, and it does have all the words on that version of it. And that one is on Spotify and whatnot. But man, I got a couple more, and I guess I'm never going to get away from this song either, and I'm proud of it. I'm Memphis born and raised. I love this town, warts and all. And I'll tell you, what I'm about to tell you is not the Chamber of Commerce version of Memphis, but it's my version of Memphis, and it's a true version of Memphis. It's called Fool from Memphis, and it's on a record called Thanks Y'all with the Big Old Band. And that one is definitely out there on the Spotifys and the whatnots. And I think you should check it out. I've also got a video of this song. Forewarned, you are going to see me, the T, in a pair of $15 Amazon wrestling tights. If that kind of thing doesn't work for you, or it's going to give you nightmares, I just felt like I should warn you on the front end. This is called A Fool from Memphis, and I sure hope to hear from Mr. Yancey over there. Woke up this morning from a $10 drunk. Sometimes I just can't believe my luck. Feel like I got hit by a truck getting by in Memphis. Laid out on the sidewalk down on Madison Avenue. My best friend said, "Man, what's wrong with you?" Pulled our change for a 40, getting high in Memphis. Crack of noon and my telephone was ringing. Late for my job in a greasy kitchen. get another one tomorrow. Getting fired in Memphis. I saw Jerry Lawler wrestle junkyard dog at the intermission of a monster truck show. Mid-South Coliseum, I was 10 years old. At Riverside Speedway on a Saturday night, I seen a couple of good old boys get into an axe handle fight. 8 on 1, I didn't think it was right. They're cracking heads in West Memphis, and a car on fire outside of Wild Bill's. Somebody's hollering, somebody's gonna get killed. Me, I don't know nothing. I mind my business in Memphis. But I remember Sputnik spinning in front of Joe's liquor store, doing the funky chicken on Rayford's light-up dance floor. We all danced till our feet were sore, getting down in Memphis. I saw Jerry Lawler wrestle junkyard dog at the intermission of a monster truck show. Mid-South Coliseum, I was 10 years old. In the Tomb of Doom, I saw the Grateful Dead when all the downtown smelled like Wonder Bread. It's a happy place inside of my head. I need a miracle in Memphis, 'cause I'm in love with this river that I can't swim across, and I believe my blood type might be barbecue sauce. I might wander, I ain't lost. Just point me back to Memphis. When that day comes and I meet my fate, I'm gonna Jackie Fargo strut through them pearly gates. Rufus Thomas will turn to Johnny Cash and he will say, another fool from Memphis. I saw Jerry Lawler wrestle junkyard dog at the intermission of a monster truck show. Mid-South Coliseum, I was 10 years old. I saw Jerry Lawler wrestle junkyard dog at the intermission of a monster truck show. Mid-South Coliseum, I was 10 years old. Now I'm going to take you somewhere else in Memphis, and it's just as important. In fact, it's more important than anything I just told you. And we had the good fortune, Mr. Yancey and the big old band, Tony Barnshaw Dickinson came out and helped us out. Our friend Annie Furries, Kathleen Quinlan. This is a host of characters came out to Mason Temple, not Mason Temple. Mason Temple's right down the street, but that plays into the story. Claiborne Temple right over here. Martin Luther King. That's where they made those iconic signs in the 68 sanitation workers strike. It said, I am a man. We recorded this song there. It's being renovated, but there's still a piece of stained glass in the front that was knocked out by the National Guard. They fired a tear gas canister into a peaceful gathering there. Many people were able to escape through light gas and water tunnels under the building. And they've kept it there patched up as a reminder. And like I said, it was a hallowed space, and we were very honored to go in there, and this is the song we recorded. It's called Ain't No Freedom. We got textbooks replacing science with Noah's Ark. 30 pieces of silver for our national parks. And the folks in Flint, Michigan ain't got clean water to drink. Grocery store sells you poison. 24-hour news got you worried about Muslims. Road to ruin, it's a path of anger and fear. Ain't no freedom till everybody's free. Come on, Mr. Yancey. Ain't no freedom till everybody's free. Right there. Ain't no mercy everybody got some. Ain't no mercy. Everybody got some. Ain't no love now. Everybody got love. Ain't no love now. Everybody got love. Land of the free, home of the brave, working ourselves into an early grave. They show you the dream, then they take it away. You said when I was your age I was buying a home to a young lady drowning in her student loans, cutting off our own nose just to spite our face. Ain't no freedom, everybody is free. Ain't no freedom, everybody is free. Ain't no mercy, everybody got some. Ain't no mercy, everybody got some. Ain't no love now, everybody got love. Ain't no love now, everybody got love. Land of the brave, home of the free, but it seems it's only for the people that clap on 1 and 3. A bunch of bankers knock the whole world on its ass. Y'all want to put a kid in jail about a bag of grass, a ghetto, a reservation, or a barrio, out of sight, out of mind. Ain't no freedom, everybody is free. Ain't no freedom, everybody is free. Ain't no mercy, everybody got some. Ain't no mercy, everybody got some. Ain't no freedom, everybody got love. Yeah. Ain't no love now, till everybody got love.
Tony Maynard.
Cecil Yancey. Man, it's funny. It's been a minute. It felt good to knock the cobwebs off of it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, being here. Susan, Cecil, all the good people came to see us. Michaela, Brett and the Sound. It's going on, baby. It's happening. But seriously, guys, and anything you can do to support this place. Oh, Navajo Street. Actually, you know, I have my special goodbye song, too. Oh, yeah, I know where you're going. It's about running away to join this circus. was dreaming about a stateroom on that Mississippi Queen. 3 days in the van and headed down to New Orleans. Frenchman Street tonight'll be quite a scene. We're just waking up in Memphis, I'm walking down Magazine. She never understood my traveling bone. Didn't see why I couldn't be happy at home. I was a fool that thought he'd get away clean. When she's waking up in Memphis, I'm walking down Magazine. Sometimes you grow together, sometimes you grow apart. I know I gotta tell her, but I don't know where to start. Bourbon Street at night is quite obscene. That kind of party just ain't my cup of tea. It's a Bloody Mary morning down on Burgundy. She's waking up in Memphis, I'm walking down Magazine. My head rattles around like a pinball machine. I don't think my hands will ever be clean. And the miles have worn this heart right off my sleeve. She's waking up in Memphis, I'm walking down Magazine. All right. I'll tell you what, though. I got one more to take us out of here. It's a special goodbye song. I don't play it often. No, I've got this. I'm not gonna. Cecil's a good boy. I'm not gonna make him participate in this debauchery. See, I have two different farewell songs, and this is the one that I sing for true friends. Almost. I'd like to be remembered for the things I like, instead of all the things I don't. Think of me fondly for the good that I've done, instead of all the good things I won't. You only live once, but you die all the time when you dwell on the hurt and the past. Tell all the haters they're cordially invited to kiss my entire ass. I like girls that wear glasses, dogs that don't act right, rusty old Chevrolets. I like waitresses that laugh at old men's jokes, wearing my pajamas all day. I like greasy old diners and the smell of old trucks, laying on my back in the grass, telling all the people that I can't mind their own business, they can kiss my entire ass. That's how they do it in Nashville. Key change. I like singing by the fire, wide white wall tires, shady old characters and crooks. I like stories that maybe stretch the truth a little, falling asleep with a book. I like girls and guitars that fight you just a little, getting my paycheck in cash, telling all the people who don't like nothing they can kiss my entire ass. Man, I'm telling all the people who know gusta nada they can kiss my entire ass. True friends, assorted haters,
and people I love, good night.